It should be pretty simple. You know, we're not doing all that much. I say that, it's not going to go to pot here. So we'll see how I do. Hi everyone, if you're watching a recording, do fast forward a minute. We're starting about a minute early today. Let's see. I'm going to get everything else up and running. Almost there. So, looks like Twitch is connected and everything else is working on it. Twitch is good, Facebook is good, is what Andy's telling me. All right. Oh my goodness, so it's Wednesday, hump day, ready for, ready for this week. We have house guests this week, pretty exciting, so got to get that ready sooner or later here. If you're watching out there, Jerry and Trish, what do you want for dinners? Give us a shout out so I can get ready for you guys. So we got our second shot yesterday in the arm. Andy's feeling not good. I'm feeling great. See? I thought it was really interesting, this shot. I mean, I don't know why, but shots always make me nervous, as much as I try not to be nervous and I give blood. But I thought it was really interesting. I've had mosquito bites that were worse than the shot yesterday. Huh. I know. The first one I felt, but the second one really didn't feel it. It's like, are you sure you're done? Anyway, did it in the opposite arm too, so maybe that's the deal. I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to start here in just a second. So Andy, you ready? Okay, Andy's ready. I'm ready. It is week 59. Today is Wednesday, May 5th. Like, is it April? Is it May? What is it? It's step-by-step surprise today. It's part 2. It's step-by-step surprise Spherical, and we're going to make something, or we're going to finish up this project that we did last week. So what did we do? We did this sphere thing. Actually, I should probably hold it here. I thought it was fun. Anyway, so what do we need? We need a bench block today. That's sort of optional. Forgot to pull out my chasing hammer here. Chasing hammer, that's optional, and I'll tell you why in a minute. A center punch is a good thing. A pair of heavy-duty cutters, because we're going to be cutting the big heavy piece of metal and you don't want to break the nice Lindströms that you have. A file, of course, because we're going to make a joint, and these lovely things. These are bow closing pliers. I think I'm going to put them to use today. Not completely sure. We'll see. Some chain hose pliers that are stuck. And a wood mandrel of some sort. So I suppose a wood dowel rod would also work today, but I have a wood ring mandrel that I keep handy. Leather mallet is going to be helpful. A hoop mandrel. If you don't have a hoop mandrel, you might want to start thinking about a hoop mandrel. A lot of people are like, what's a hoop mandrel? Well, a hoop mandrel is different from a ring mandrel, and which is different from a bracelet mandrel. It's actually in between the size. I didn't even pull my bracelet mandrel, but the bracelet mandrel is definitely, let's see, sorry, can't see in that view, but the bracelet mandrel is going to be at least that much bigger, and the bottom is going to be probably about that much bigger. So it's for a bracelet, whereas this, believe it or not, is to make hoops, to make hoop earrings was the original thought on this. But I use it a lot to make rings that are bigger than, of course, my ring mandrel. And you could always use a dowel rod if you have like a 1 inch or 1.5 or 1.25 inch dowel rod is nice. But I have found that hoop mandrels are pretty nice to have around. So pretty cool. Oh yeah, happy Cinco de Mayo. Totally forgot about that. Well, was the 4th with you yesterday? Hello, North Carolina. I find it interesting. North Carolina has come up like literally 3 times in the last day. Wonder why. So maybe we'll come down and see you, Larry. But it keeps coming up in our lives over here. I just think it's sort of interesting that there you are in North Carolina once again. All right, so let's just jump in. All right, so that's the equipment you needed today. You will also need to pull out that sphere. We're going to be using that. Oh, one more thing. You need a round nose pair of pliers. I'm going to grab mine. Let's see. Okay, there's one. And so what you're going to do is we're going to put this on the mandrel, and I'm just going to bend this around. Okay, if you do not have the hand strength to make this bend, then put it on your wedge and use your mallet and bend it around, just like so. I'm not going to go all the way, just going to go a little bit before I go too far, because what I want to do is I want to make basically I'm making a frame for this to go around. So I haven't decided what size I want it. That's up to you. And before I forget, I totally forgot this part. If you want to texturize this instead of keeping it plain, you want to go ahead and texturize it now. I would put this, to texturize it, I would put this on my bench block with my chasing hammer and just texturize that side. You know what? Maybe I will, just to do something different. Usually I like things really smooth and plain and contemporary, so why not? Let's just do that today, just because we can. All right, let's bring this in just a little closer so you can see what's going on. There we are. Thanks, got the haircut yesterday too. Always fun to see the hairdresser. So I'm actually hitting on the edge because I just sort of want an interesting edge before I do anything else. And I'm using the peen end of my chasing hammer. And if you're really careful about this, you can actually make the scalloped end. Can you see that? Maybe barely. See? It makes a sort of fun scallop end. Just like so. All right. And then I'm going to texturize the middle of it. Again, simply because I can. And you really do want to do this before you bend it into a ring. Because if you do this afterwards, it's going to stretch your ring out. All right, probably a little more than that. So I'm going to go about 3 inches of it. I also find that if you don't texturize it enough, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks beat up instead of intentional. So do be a bit intentional about it. Like so. Okay. And then I'm going to also center punch it. Totally forgot about that too. Sorry guys. So I'm going to center punch it about 1 inch off the edge. Okay. And this will make sense later. But you do want to make sure that you are putting it in the middle of this wire. Okay. This will come into play later. Not a great center punch. I'm going to hit that a little bit harder so I can actually see it for later. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead, because this whole thing is so texturized, I can't tell where that center punch is. I'm going to mark it so I can remember. Just like so. Okay. All right, so now that I've hammered this is fairly hard. If you find that it's too hard to work with, make sure you anneal it. That will open up those molecules and get this metal nice and soft for you. So we'll heat it. I know I'm going to lose my marker here in a second, but hopefully I won't lose all of it. So I'm just annealing the part where I've hammered. Yeah, I can still see my mark, so I'm good. All right. Quench that puppy. Let's dry that off before we put it on our metal mandrel, because you don't want it to rust. Pull this back out, and I'm going to make a small one. Much smaller than where I was earlier. It was a little too big. All right. Like so. Bring it around. Not cooperating today, so I'm going to fix it, just like that. Cool. But it's so soft, I can bend it with my hands, as you can see. Let's bring that end in. Do I like this? It's okay. Can't say I love that size, so I'm going to just trim it, and then I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. But you can make whatever size you want. So I'm going to trim that, and actually, because this side has a beveled edge too, I'll go ahead and trim that, because it's going to take a lot of filing, and while it's out here, I might as well just trim it and make it easy on myself. All right, let's put it back on the mandrel here, and let's bend that around, just like so. Okay. And we're just bringing it around to get to a nice, to get the ends together. All right, but let's check it. Oh yeah, much better. I like that. I like that. It's a nice size, okay? You can go a little bit smaller if you want. You can go larger if you want. All right, so now if you look at the edges, it has a beveled edge in there. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and file that down so I can get a nice flat edge for soldering to make a good connection. So just like so. Doesn't take a lot, especially if you have a good pair of cutters. If you don't have a good pair of cutters, you might want to think about investing it. And by the way, all these tools are available at theurbanbeater.com. So, you know, if you haven't invested in one of these heavy duty bad boys, it's a good thing. And the one that we have is a flush cutter. So it makes life a lot easier and a lot less filing, because remember, filing's a 4-letter word that starts with an F. But if you don't have a good cutter, then you're going to be doing this a lot longer than I have. And then I'm going to pull out my handy dandy little tool here. Remember these? I introduced these a couple weeks ago. Loving it. And you know, you can put this on the mandrel to get the ends together. But look, I'm going to put it right here and bring it right together, just like that. So these are bow closing pliers. Oh, love it. All right, I'm going to put it right back in here so you can see. Let's zoom in so you can actually see what's going on here. Zoom in. Okay, so you can see my joints off. So I'm going to put it in my flat nose and squeeze it down and get that together. Now, a lot of people, when they're making rings, they like to make it into a D shape. I'm going to have to disagree with that, because by making it into a D shape, you're creating a lot of stress on that joint unnecessarily. But notice I do have a very, very slight D, and that's a lot better, because we're going to have to bend this back out round anyway, right? So there. You see how my ends are starting to come together a little bit at a time? And I want to make sure that it's even across the top. So I'm just going to play with it a little bit. Make sure it's nice and even. Putting it back in there. And I keep feeling it because, you know, it's easier to feel it than to see it at this point in life. There we go. Can you see? Nice and even. Okay, would you pickle this at this point? Most people would, but I'm not going to, because I just filed those ends and it'll be fine for soldering. Now, if it has fire scale in that joint, you do want to go ahead and pickle it. So here we're just going to go ahead and use hard solder. Just a little bit. Let's see. Just a little bit of hard solder on the inside of this joint. Like that. You don't have to smear it all the way to the other end. Just put some on one end and it should work just fine. Put it down like so. And we're going to heat the whole thing. And then heat in front of that joint to ask it to come through. Okay? Heat everybody happy hot. Because it's silver, you have to heat the entire thing and get it nice and evenly hot. That little flare of a flame there, that is just flux. Keep going, don't stop. And now I'm going to heat right to the front until, there it is, until the solder goes through the entire joint. And you can see that. Yep, that's definitely solder. we'll go ahead and throw it in the pickle now because this definitely has fire scale on it. There we are. So I'm working with my 5th, maybe 6th iteration of this bench here. Yeah, I moved everything around the other day, so I'm still sort of getting used to what's here. But it's always fun to switch it up, right? I know, I'm a nut. If we've been doing this for 59 weeks and I'm on my 6th iteration, that's like every 10 weeks. I'm changing out my bench. Well, you know, variety is a spice of life, right? All right, let's see what's going on in this pickle. It's nice and hot today, so hopefully, oops. Oh no. Okay, so much for that pickle. I didn't realize it's completely dry in there. Hold on. Oops. Yep, I have little to no pickle in there. So notice only that much pickled. So hold on, I gotta get some water. My bad. Didn't realize that I left my pickle pot on. Don't tell Andy. So much for hot pickle. Now I'm adding cold water to it. Whoops. Well. All right. Let's give that just another minute here. So now that my pickle pot is in front of me instead of to the side of me, you get to see the top of my head. So if your pickle has dried out like mine did, because obviously I left it on since yesterday, maybe even Monday. But if it's dried out, it's not a big deal. Just add some water to it. Give it a good stir and it'll start up again here in just a second. Just need to give it a little bit of time. Don't ever think that you need to throw it away. So how do you know that pickle's gone bad? Well, if you've had it in there for 10 minutes and there's no action, and if there's still a ton of fire scale, it's probably neutral at that point. But it does take a lot of effort to make your pickle neutral. So I wouldn't be too quick to throw it away. There we are. Great. I wouldn't be too quick to throw it away, but okay. So it's not great because it's cold, but it's enough to do what I need it to do. Okay. So here we're going to put it back on the mandrel and make that round. You can see all the wobbles in there. You can definitely do this on a ring mandrel too if you're doing it to this size. This is probably, I don't know, I'm guessing. Oh, yeah, it's probably a 9 or 10. Nice and round till you're happy. I'm going to check out that joint. I have a little bit of a wobble here. Can you see that? It's not straight, so I want to straighten that out first. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it with, yep, I'm going to hit it with a file just a little bit. Just like so. Take off any sharp edges. And then I'm going to hit it with some sandpaper. So whatever you need to do to make this nice and symmetrical, that's up to you too. I mean, you can leave it organic if you want to. I'm going to work on that joint just a tiny little bit, just to clean it up. So you can see, to make that disappear, that'll go away. I'm going to hit this again with some sandpaper, take off any sharp edges, and actually I'm going to go all the way around because from the hammering I created a little bit of a sharp edge. And since we're going to be wearing this, because you know we are making wearable art, right? We're not just going to sit here and admire it. We're not just going to put it in a drawer like Q does, right? Okay. I'm sorry, honey. Oh. Okay, still a sharp edge here. So, you know, actually, because this is a round surface, I'm going to pull out a dowel rod. And I'm going to do the inside. Just a little bit. Gee, Alabama's in the house. I wonder if Hawaii's in the house today. Is Hawaii watching today? So I had somebody contact me this past week, and they just, longtime student, who just discovered that I'm doing this live. Like, it's been 59 weeks. How have you been missing out? But she's in Hawaii. I'll forgive her. Okay. So there we are. Just clean the inside a little bit. Until I feel better about it. All right, so then I'm going to find the joint too and see where my joint is. And I'm going to clean that up a little bit too. So the search is on. We have started processing for Virtually Ever Crafting October. So save the date, October 20th through 24th. So what I mean is we're prospecting new instructors. I think we're going to have 30 instructors on this next round, so I'm pretty excited about that. If you know anybody out there who is teaching and would like to join us and is teaching virtually, send them our way. Send them to virtuallyevercrafting.com, and they can actually reach out to us through there, or they can find me on Facebook and reach out to me personally. But we are looking for more instructors and see if we can diversify this whole thing. Pretty exciting. Okay, so I'm just cleaning up the joint on the inside just a little bit, just to make it a little bit nicer before I do anything else, because it's going to be really hard to get in there once you put the sphere in. Yes, that's where we're going with it. Remember, we're going to put the sphere in, so you want to make sure all that is nice and clean. And if you happen to have something like this half round mandrel, which we have on our website too, this will make life a lot easier. I don't know why I didn't pull this out in the first place, but anyway. There it is. So get that nice and clean, because I don't want to see that joint later. And I can get that all the way down. I'm cleaning up the solder. And the reason why I put the solder on the inside instead of the outside is because the outside had texture. And it's much harder to clean solder off of texture if it bled, right? So just going to make sure it's really nice before we move on. And really, this part of the process of cleaning up joints and refining and finishing, it takes time, and you really want to invest in that time if you want a great piece, a great outcome. So Wine on Wednesday is tonight. Who's with me? Excited for that? You know, it's gloomy outside. It'd be nice to sit around and have a drink and, you know, get together. So if you haven't joined us before, do join us tonight. The link is on the QTalk Facebook page, so you can find us there. Everyone's welcome. It's free. It's funny, somebody asked me today, how much does it cost? I'm like, nothing. We're just hanging out, getting together, bouncing ideas off each other. You know how Virtually Ever Crafting was born? It was born during Wine on Wednesday. How cool is that? A bunch of people, we were sitting around talking, and they said, hey, they didn't say we should do this. They said you should do this. This is... Okay. So Andy wanted me to mention, if anybody missed out on the prong jig, the prong making jig, we have one left. So if you are missing on that, actually, you know, I should do a class on that for VEC now that we're saying that. Okay, there we are. My joint is pretty nice. I'm pretty happy. You can barely see it. All right, so now we have, I'm going to turn this, and I've already cleaned the outside also. I'm looking for the joint. I can't find it. Okay, there it is. Actually, I'm going to hit it one more time. just a little bit more so that I really can't find it later. Good. Okay, so I'm looking around for where I had center punch because we're going to go ahead and pierce a hole through there. So we'll pull out our flex shaft. And some cut loop. Couple ways you can approach this. Okay, so flex shaft with some cut loop. Let's put it into our wood mandrel. If you don't have a wood mandrel, then you're going to have to hold this just suspended like so and go in. It's easier and more stable because you have some leverage to put it in the wood mandrel. You can also put this into a dowel rod. That will help a lot. You can also, if you want to, go in from the side. I know that this is really peculiar. It's really hard for a lot of people, but that is a way to do it. Okay? So however you need to get there, and you want to make sure you're straight up and down, right into that center punch, and we're going to pierce a hole. And we're going to pierce a hole. Again, honey. Okay, so the question is, why did I not drill before taping? Because what happens is if you drill before you shape it, it's going to distort the hole. It'll stretch it and it'll make it into an oval hole. So then you're going to have to drill again to get that oval hole round, right? And it'll more than likely make it too small. So either you're going to have to do it again. So might as well just do it once. So same question, could you drill the hole before bending the wire? Same thing, is you don't want to drill this hole before bending it because it'll distort the hole, okay? So you do want to do this after. Trust me, been there, done that. And today, it's a brand new drill bit. You know, I don't understand how sometimes some of these drill bits, they just don't want to play with me. So I'm gonna put you in timeout, and I'm gonna go grab another one. But, geez. You can do this with a pin vise. It's just going to take you a lot longer, okay? Make sure that the bit is round. Alright, sorry, make sure that the bit is round. Ha! Make sure that the bit is in there evenly and it's not wobbling. Look at that. Is that stupid? Oh my goodness. Okay, I have no idea why that happened that way, but there it is. Alright. Make sure you carefully put the flex shaft away because you still have a teeny weeny little drill bit there. And you'll probably break if you drop that and it hits something. So here, we're going to go ahead and insert the wire. Well, let's make sure I use the right drill bit. Okay, it's a little tight, but it'll work. Insert the wire into the hole. Into the hole. Let's pull out the tweezers and see if that helps her. There we go. Yay! All right. You see that? There we are. I'm actually going to pull out my flush cutters because my cut here is not great and I'd like to make that better. And then I'm going to pull out my round nose and I'm going to make a loop. You see that? So Larry says that he has a much easier time using his battery operated drill. And instead of the flex shaft when drilling. So, you know, I'm all about, hey, if that's what's working for you, then that's what you want to do. But my problem with those drills is that they don't go down to these teeny, the collets don't go down to these teeny weeny little sizes. So you'll have to acquire a collet for those drills. So as you can see, you're going to bend a loop. Do you see that? And I'm leaving some space in here instead of pulling it all the way tight, because if I pulled it tight, you see, it doesn't really move so much, so freely. And if I leave it there, it's going to move. But I would like this to be stationary, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of solder there, and we're going to solder this loop down. All right, so we're gonna grab anything to put this onto to get it to be right there. I want that loop to touch the base of the ring, okay? Well, I can't say I love my loop. Let me fix that. I know, I'm just being, you have to understand, this is just incredibly anal retentive for me right now, but I'm just gonna make this loop a little bit nicer. You probably didn't even see that, right? Oi. Okay. And then we're going to put either medium solder or easy solder. And I'm going to put right at the base where that connection is. Let's see if you guys can see that a little bit better. There we go. So just a little teeny bit, because you don't want this to bleed everywhere, right? Just like so. Okay, so you see how I pushed it down so that the loop is touching the wire, because I want it to be static. I want that loop to be static so that the sphere could spin independently. That's why I'm doing it that way. A lot of different ways you could be doing this. This is just one of them. All right, so heat the whole thing. Heat it. And then heat right there, right at that joint. There we go. Did you see it? Did you see it fill in? Just a tiny little bit right there. Okay. So Andy's asking me to ask Wendy out there to ask your question again. Why wouldn't? I think she means Barry, but okay, so there we are. There's my piece. I'm gonna throw it in the pickle and it'll be out of the pickle here in a second. Maybe the pickle's hot by now. I think what she's trying to say is, why am I not just burying that entire thing and putting that loop on top? You can. It's just another way of doing it, if that's the question. When I pull it out, I'll show you what I think she means. Okay. All right. So, you know, I forgot some black max. So I'm going to go grab that too. Hold on. So you don't have to oxidize this piece, but you can if you want some definition. Because remember last week we made the sphere and we put a braid around the center of it, right? It's close. Another minute in the pickle here. So any questions? If you have questions, do throw them out. Andy is repeating them to me. I think I've answered all the questions so far. But okay, so Wine on Wednesday tonight. We're gonna have a few drinks tonight. I I think I need to relax a little bit. Sorry, bury the ring to hold it in place. You could. Okay, so I did say I did make the right assumption about what you were asking. You could do that. You could bury the entire piece, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Let me pull it out of the pickle. Okay, so because we have a sphere, right, with a hole in it, be really careful and make sure that you clean this, clean the pickle out of this, whatever it takes to do that. I like the shake method. It's a technique. Okay. So I think what Wendy's saying is, why can't you just bury it like this? You're right. That probably would have been the easier way to do it, and that would have guaranteed that the loop is on the ring. I don't know why I didn't think of it that way. I don't know, but you're right. That's the perfect way of doing it. And I can see that my loop is soldered. That makes me really happy. And I have a ball. Actually, it's really hard in this view. Maybe we can do it up here. But you can see I have a sphere that spins. That makes me really happy. And I'm going to go ahead and oxidize it now. Make sure I shake this out some more. Okay, so I'm going to use black max instead of liver sulfur, because in liver sulfur I have to dunk the whole thing and potentially get liver sulfur inside of it too. So this makes me a lot happier to do it this way. Try not to get it on your fingers like I'm doing. And I'm just going to brush it right on. You know, if you don't, it's funny, somebody had noticed during one of my classes that I have this cute little bottle that I put my black max into. You can buy these on Amazon, by the way, if you're looking for some. But the other thing too, if you don't have a cute little bottle like that, you can acquire some makeup brushes like this, and they're plastic and they're great, and it's perfect for something like this, and it makes it really direct, like so. We're gonna go ahead and rinse it off. Always rinse off your patina because it will arrest the process. And then here I'm going to take out my nylon brush and brush it. You can use your brass brush if you want to. You can use your fiberglass brush. I already told you why I hate my fiberglass brush. You know, as much as I love it, I hate it. I just can't stand getting fiberglass like everywhere. It drives me crazy. Okay, and the only reason why I'm using this brush is this tiny, and this piece is pretty small. Let's see how we do here. It's going to need something a little bit more aggressive than this nylon brush. So, you know, I'm going to pull out some steel wool. And clean it up. This will take a minute because these little spaces are really small. So the patina that I use is Black Max. You can get it from Rio Grande. I like it best. I like it better than Jack's. I like it better than, what is it? Midas, I think it's called. Because it's pretty aggressive and it's pretty instant, right? As you saw, I mean, it happened like immediately. Andy's reminding me to remind you to store it away from your tools. So how I store it is like this. Let's go out a little bit. I actually have it in a plastic container inside, like so. And I keep it on a completely different shelf, away from anything. Like, if you notice, I went around the corner to a different place. Believe it or not, it does have a tendency to, even in the bottle, oxidize the things around it. It, you know, the plastic does breathe. So the plastic bottle breathes. So it's really, it's aggressive. I learned that the really hard way. You know, I had these beautiful tools when I first started, and I literally had the stuff for a month when I bought the Black Max, and oh, you know, I had a cute little toolbox. You know how we all are when we started. We don't think that we're gonna create this huge bench with all these tools. We like, oh look, we have a little toolbox, and we'll just do it in the toolbox. So yeah, I put it in my toolbox, and oh gosh, what a mess. It only took a couple days, and everything was a complete mess. So I'm just taking the time out right now to clean this a little bit at a time. And if this is like way too tedious for you, look at that. If it's way too tedious for you, you know what? You have a flex shaft. We can pull it out and use that too. I'm going to clean this a little bit more here just for a second. Okay, sorry, I'm just being a little anal retentive. I'm going to pull out this brush. It's going to help me get into this little tiny spots. I'm having a hard time with my fingers getting into those spots. You know, another way you can get into those little spots is to pull out a pair of tweezers and put the steel wool in the tweezers and work it. But that's just way too hard for me today. So we're going to do it this way. And the reason why I don't do a quick change handle, in fact, I bought one and destashed it, is because a quick change doesn't get me to these tiny little sizes of drill bits. And then I'm going to have to pull the quick change off or get a second flex shaft and have one with the quick change and one without. But that's way too indulgent. Anyway, so we're going to hit it just like so with the brass brush. Oh, look at that. It's coming right up. So whatever you want to use to polish this is what you'll do. I should probably pull out my gloves, but I don't have my nails done today, so. So on Friday we have Time Capsule, the first project of Time Capsule. For those of you who are joining us, don't forget. Honestly, I already forgot. I got to send out your Zoom links, don't I? Okay. Slowly but surely, I'm cleaning it up. And I'm hitting these spots. Okay, so I'm having a hard time getting inside of here. So I'm going to switch out. I'm going to switch out to end brush. Let's see if I can get this in there. So you got to work with what you have, right? Meaning not only do you have to work with the tools that you have, but you have to work with the design that you have. Not everything is a one-stepper. There we go. That's nice. So, Andy, you still there? Okay. I'm asking if Andy's still there because my phone is ringing. I'm like, he's not trying to call me, is he? I have this tiny little spot on the inside that I can't seem to get to. Too. Okay, so I can't seem to get in here at the top, so I'll show you what I'm going to do to clean that. Again, sometimes you just need to work with it and figure it out. So I'm just going to take some steel wool and see if I can get in there. Something smells funky all of a sudden down here. That's why I was smelling what I had. I'm like, what is that smell? It's not gas. It's not liver or sulfur. Okay, so you see that? This is how I'm getting into this tiny little spot. It'll clean up. It just takes time. So that is it. So this is the Spherical project. Depending on how big you make your loop, you may need to get a jump ring and add a jump ring on there. Otherwise, you should be able to go ahead and use it. I'm going to add a jump ring on mine just because I can. Okay, so you see, I'm just using my tweezers and I'm using my steel wool to get into the tiny little places. But at this point, it is finishing work. And finishing work takes time to get it to wherever it is you want it to be, right? Okay. Let's find a jump ring, put a jump ring on, and we're done with Spherical. Project number 19. So there's only one more step-by-step surprise project coming up, and that is going to be... Oh, no, I'm sorry, 2 more. So next week, we're going to start the step-by-step surprise boxes. So that's number 8. I'm sorry, so this is number 18. Next week is number 19. And then we're going to finish out with Locked. So I haven't posted Locked yet, but boxes is still available if you're interested. And Locked will get posted very soon here. And I don't have a chain. So we'll do it like so. And show you what the finished product is. Voila. There we are. Fun stuff. So the question is, why didn't you make the wire through the ball longer so it would be centered? It was just a design. It was a design choice. This is, so the question is, why didn't I make this longer so that this would be hanging in the middle? It was just a design choice. It was what I wanted it to be. But if you wanted to make it centered, then yes, you can make your wire longer, of course, so that it hangs in the middle. That's all. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you liked your surprise. Again, if you want to join in on the last 2 fun projects, the last 2 surprise projects, it's still available. And it's at theurbanbeater.com. So tonight is Wine on Wednesdays at 4:30 Eastern. The link is on the Facebook page. Do come and join us. We'd love to see your happy faces. And on Friday, we'll do the time capsule project number 1. And we'll be back on Monday to finish up our, Mix It Up Monday. We have the last of the 4 projects for Mix It Up Monday. We'll be back on at 1 o'clock on Monday. All right. Have a great rest of the week, everyone. That was fun. I like this project. I'm going to go shoot a picture of this project, add it to your instruction sheets, and send it out. All right. See you next week. Bye.